Hey everybody, what's up? What's going on? And today I kind of wanted to talk about something a little bit differently. I kind of wanted to go through and talk about some of artwork that I've created, and just some pictures that I've had of them, and talk about them on the channel because I figured it would be a good thing to share. Just a little bit about my work in general. I've done a couple different types of disciplines, some 2D graphic work, some drawing with charcoal, graphite, and ink, some sculptural. There we go, sculptural work, and photography as well. Photography being the main thing that I do. But let's just kind of jump into the first thing right away. The first thing is a figure drawing, a charcoal figure drawing. Drawing is probably the thing I'm worst at, as you can tell. The forms are kind of, there is like an elementary style to it. You could tell, like, yeah, it has that feel to it. And you can definitely tell. I'm not gonna take any offense to that, but there's just some work there, and I would like to point out as one of the things, the boobs were a little bit weird in person as well. Not as weird maybe as I've drawn, but nevertheless. The next thing here we have is a still life. I believe it is charcoal as well. This is just kind of like a standard. The two kind of standard things to draw are still lifes and figure drawings. So I figured I'd highlight, just two of those real quick. This third piece is actually something that I'm really proud of. It was like the first kind of work that I felt like I did a really good job on. The first thing that I actually felt pretty confident about. It's a booklet, and you start with two images. You can see on one side is one image, and then on the complete opposite side is the other image that I started with. Those were from two other artists, I believe. The one on the left, all the way on the left, is what's his name, Stravinsky, and then I forget the name of the artist on the right, the more complex, muddled one. The Stravinsky is the more simplistic one, and I picked these two just because of the sheer difference between how much is going on, the variety in the image, and also they're completely kind of different. So it's the middle mixture that you have is a little bit more up to you, the artist, and it's a little bit more of more to work with. And also, it just if you can tell, it shares a couple characteristics of line. There in the Stravinsky one, the simple one, you can see the lines that intersect that flat plane of going different directions. And here you kind of have a similar pattern in the more complex one. The cross shape thing that is almost happening there. This next piece is a sculptural piece. Actually, I believe, it's a sculptural piece. It's a 3D piece. This is called People Zoo. The whole idea behind this project is was a site specific and material specific project, and the thing that is specific in my case to this project and it relates to the zoo is if when you go to a zoo, everything is kind of like a recreation, whether it's made of plaster or concrete or some sort of fake rubber, some sort of fake tree. It's excuse me. It's some sort of fake fake organic thing to make it look real. And here I just kind of have a piece where you can see how fake and how disrupted to the environment that these items are, both ranging from the animals and the people themselves to the trees and to the shrubbery and the grass and like the little color sprinkles that are supposed to be like pollen. It's clearly fake to the eye, and that's why the cage in it itself it's a fake cage. It wouldn't hold anyone back, and the animals in the situation would not be gathering around and watching. Also, the scale between the animals and humans is off. So it's just kind of supposed to represent all of those things kind of in one and how they interact. Here we have this next thing. It's a wooden chair made out of a pallet. The original part with this project was to turn a pallet into a non-functional sculpture, and then turn that non-functional sculpture into a chair using only the pieces that were in the non-functional sculpture, not all of the pieces that you had in the pallet. So you could only use what you took from the pallet and made into the other sculpture. And this was the chair that me and the team that I worked on, there were 3 of us in total, made into with, as our chair. It is functional. You could sit on that chair and it would hold your weight. Maybe not for a very long time, but it definitely it did work, and it was a lot of fun to work on that project with the 2 people I was working on it with. I don't know, especially at the time when I made it, it was an interesting time in learning, what gets split up and everything like that. But in the end, we were pretty happy, I guess, with the end result. Here is first work that you've seen that I've actually created this year. This is a pretty new, pretty recent creation, actually within like the past 2 months or so. It doesn't have a title, but it's the idea behind this project is the word repurpose, we kind of stretched repurpose a lot because it's repurpose and reanimation kind of all in the same time, because what we've done here is me and my partner, we took this tree, and there's the stump, a dead tree stump growing around the tree, and from where the branches are to where the tree stump ends, we've reanimated the living tree to kind of cover up and to show the relationship, and even more like kind of bring out the relationship in which that one tree has grown out the center of another tree, and what that would kind of look like if it were if things had gone another way, so to say. If that other tree had still been there, it kind of show what it would look like, and make you think about what it is now and how different those things are. The wood also came from repurposed. The wood is also repurposed. Some of it is from a 2x6. Some of it's from pallets. Some of it is from just scrap wood found around different places. But these all came together to repurpose the once tree. And all of these different places that we gathered, the pallets, all these different, scrap wood, ultimately, again, they do go back to being, one thing, just the tree itself. And it's kind of showing, that one tree has disappeared and, that new tree has grown, but it is kind of being replaced maybe with the same tree theoretically. This next thing is not something that I've made with school or anything like that. This is something, excuse me, right before I started recording this, I kind of choked on some hot coffee. And so yeah, my throat must be just a little bit irritated. But this was one of many, actually one of 10 paintings that I did at my work. I actually no longer work there, but yeah, this is for a wedding. I forget how many people, how many thousands, 1,000 might be, that's a really high number for the wedding, but it was a large wedding, and it was a big deal kind of for the place we were working at, and there were 10 of these flowers that needed to be painted on this huge canvas. The canvas was, I think it might have been 72 inches. Yeah, I think it was about a 72-inch canvas, square canvas. And I did 10 of these, each with a little variation. And they were used in part for that big wedding. That was a big deal for us. And now, finally, we have moved on to photography portion, the thing that I actually spend most of my time doing. And this first picture that you're seeing here is actually from a portrait project that I was doing. It's one of 5 images that was submitted. And actually, let's see if I can dig up the others. I'll throw those in there. But this, like the whole point of this, the project and the series is images that there are 2 parts of it. There we go. There's need for the second image. Here's the first part of this project, and where we have a partner from our class, and we are supposed to interview them, find out about them, and then when we create our portraits for them, they're supposed to be a pictorial representation of what we learned in this interview. And also not just on the interview, but like the general personality that this person has just from knowing them in class, and you're supposed to represent that in photograph form. So this guy, if you can tell, he's obviously a smoker, and this is kind of like a big thing for me. If you're a smoker and interacting with a non-smoker. If you've recently smoked or just kind of any time, well, I mean, smokers are always kind of recently smoking. That's part of the problem, kind of. You can just kind of tell. And so when we were working on this project, we were talking about the approach that we were going to have and different approaches like that. And he lit up a cigarette, and I was like, "Hey, let me get photos of you while you're smoking this." And so we kind of started early then. And also here for the second part of the project, we have just images of strangers. And then the last works here are two from a very recent project that I did, and they're kind of stemming off the idea of control. I started at one point trying how I could control emotion through photos and how I could get the emotions out of people through my photographs. And I started out with adrenaline and excitement, and fear is something I wanted to try to focus on getting out. But then after that, out of frustration almost, I moved it into control. And I moved it into like a more studio setting where I could control over the lights, the backgrounds, had control over the content, and I felt like I had control over certain little aspects, but I didn't have control over the full range of the image of what things are that make up an image. And so I took it more into a studio approach, and this is a food coloring and water. Here, and part of the idea is that the dye controls the pigment of the water, so it controls how the light interacts with the water. You can always see the edge of the glass, and that's kind of to show how water is controlled by whatever shape that it's in. And anything that you can see in the background has been controlled based on what I've put in there. And the things, all of those glares, lights, those are all intentional as well. And I had, just different control over the quality of light, with the direction of things, and the reflections in that glass as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was a little bit different, a little bit longer of a video as well. Leave a like if you would want more of these artwork videos. I am, not only am I always creating this stuff, there is still some more that I haven't mentioned in this video. If you guys are interested in seeing more, please let me know. This is something I can do, something I enjoy talking about. But thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. So, subscribe for more of this kind of stuff, and I'll see you later.